So the question that you actually see in the title is it has been inspired to me by one of my test subjects. And if you pay someone to fix your car, right, does that automatically make you a mechanic? If you read about karate or boxing, or you see boxing on TV, does that automatically make you a fighter? It's the same thing. If you pay for prostitution, does that make you an expert on women? Or does that make you an expert on female nature? Because see, the best life lesson is experience. And sometimes certain experience or certain risk, we don't want to go through it. Or better yet, we had a bad experience. So then therefore we shy away to ever have to feel a certain way ever again. When we're looking at male hierarchy, no matter which culture you go to, no matter whatever culture you go to, when we're looking at male hierarchy, how do we actually set it up? But first, we have to ask ourselves this question: how do we even find ourselves in a level of hierarchy in the environment which we belong to? Because our environment tend to shape our perspective, and then our perspective then shape our reality of what we perceive as reality. So when men, we try to find competence, a level of where we belong within our peers, we try to find out what makes us valuable as a human being. So some of us have an affinity for art, so they become artists. So then therefore whenever their friends has any questions about art, they will most likely be the one to answer those said questions. Some becomes mechanics. Some becomes, I don't know, you name it. They more intertwined with politics or fantasy novels. They find ways to actually pursue their interests because we're not just one facet individuals. We have so many layers within us. And every time we pursue one interest, that actually add on to our personalities. And we just become one more thing, a variety of things that we are. We're not just fathers or workers or lovers. We're many things. And each things that we added, each qualities that we added to our lives build our merit and actually increase the potential of us being valuable and actually increase our chances of rising up in the hierarchy. But when we're looking at the Black community, what we tend to see is value is not based upon what you do for a living. It's not based upon your expertise, unless it has to do with a level of popularity contest. And too often, what makes one popular is your ability to get the opposite sex, your ability to actually get women. So then, if that is what classify one as being successful, then it turns out then whatever you do, it's in a way to get you what you believe to be successful. And with that success comes respect. But what happened if, despite the fact that your ability to get women still doesn't get you respect? What then? What do you do? That is a conundrum that many African American men face. And how do we resolve it? Most of them don't know. So I'm gonna tell you a little story. When I was a teenager, and one of my cousin, he moved from Haiti to. He actually came from Haiti to the United States. Right, I haven't seen him for a long time, and I used to really looked up to that dude. Right, he was, I would say, like he was one of my role model of the alpha male, the type of dude I'm like, wow, I want to be just like you, right? And then, of course, I'm like 13, 14, and this is the time, like, pussy's like, wow, it's like that magical thing. You try your hardest to like, how the fuck you master this? How the fuck you actually convince a chick to get you some puss? So, and then when he came through, right? And then, he's just, he started working, he's learning English, he's trying to accommodate to his new lifestyle. And then one of my neighbors, there's this girl. This chick was on him like white on rice. She was trying so freaking hard to give this guy some ass. And yet he just kept refusing her. He kept refusing her. He kept refusing her. And then I started questioning. I'm like, dude, you I know you're not getting laid right now and stuff. You barely speak any English, and you got this Haitian chick that's trying really hard to give you some. And yet you just were like, nah, I'm good. And you know what he told me? He says, when you lay with fleas, I mean, when you lay with dogs, then you get fleas. Yes, granted, this girl was a hood rat. But you might say that, well, she doesn't matter. She's just, at the bottom of the barrel. Why not smash her? But he refused to actually deal with hood rat. That is a principle to which, like, my admiration from him went from, at first, I'm like, man, I don't know what the hell you talking about, man. I would have just hit that a long time ago and, stop complaining, get laid and all that stuff. But as I grew up and I start to understand where he was coming from, because I have never seen this dude with the ugly chick. I have never seen this dude with a bummy chick, you know? And it's like he's dealing with like lawyers, nurses, women that just try to tie him down. And the thing about it, he never actually ever have to brag to me. It's like something that you just see in him is that radiate as in like, yeah. When you come across a dude, right? And then the first time you see him, like, yeah, he gets pussy. And that is something that women also notice that as well. And then like men, we have no problem knowing or determining who's good at what. And then therefore we set the hierarchy based on the individual's charisma, based on their merit, based on their ability to get things accomplished. So why am I saying this? What I mean by this is the fact that he never felt like he had to lower his standard in order to actually get what he wants. So he then never had to lower women's standard because he was ashamed of dealing with those women. The women that he was dealing with were the exact women that he wanted to deal with. And when me and him when we're chatting, when we're having a conversation, women is never really a topic that we actually brought up. Yeah, we might have some fun. We talk about our past, the crazy things that we used to do, you know. But that's like what 5% of every conversation we ever have. The other things that we talk about businesses. We talk about the future that we want to have. We want to talk about. I mean, we talk about investing in other people, in ourselves. Some of these conversation that it goes beyond what do we need to do to actually get into a woman's pants, because we were like so far above that that this is not even a conversation worth having. Great dude. So, but now when we're looking at the black manosphere, when we're looking at the so-called black MGTOW, and despite their ability to get laid, other cultures doesn't seem to actually give them that the respect which they claim they want to have, or the respect which they claim that they are entitled to. But you might ask yourself, you might blame it on racism, you might blame it on um, other cultures hating, jealousy, but is it really? It's because to the rest of other culture, the only thing that you portray yourself as is this fuckboy. The fuckboy cannot build anything. The fuckboy have multiple baby mamas. The fuckboy cannot actually comprehend, cannot keep wealth. And because of that, people look at you as somebody that lack discipline, somebody that cannot drive, that cannot thrive, and cannot reach his higher self. And then therefore that respect which you try to get from other cultures falls flat, because all you are to everybody else is just that horn dog that just want to just fuck anything that moves. But now you might say that, well, Art, you just shaming people now. No, 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 no. That's not it at all. See, I was thinking, right? When it comes to the whole divorce rate, when it comes to, as the millennial, we were the generation which, we were the divorce generation. We witnessed our parents not able to get along. We witnessed our parents couldn't stand each other. And funny enough, it was that period of time where capitalism, or the whole credit, yeah, the whole credit era was booming. You just slash your credit card, you just buy everything you want. It was a buying culture. Most people never kept a car for no longer than 2 or 3 years. So everything was replaceable. And that includes your woman. That includes your men. And the thing is, why is it divorce is so ramping in the West, and yet in third world countries, or even second world countries, people tend to be able to stick together? It's because when you don't live in a system, in a capitalistic system, when you don't live in a system to which everything is replaceable, then when you have something, you cherish it more. When you have a phone, it's having some issue, you don't just throw it away and get a new phone. You try to fix that phone. When you have a car that's giving you problem, you don't just trade the car in. You try to fix it. Because all these other culture were not based on credit. They were based on whatever you wanted out of life, you have to work very hard for it. And that include a good relationship. But speaking on statistic, how did this whole feminism movement came about? Yes, there are a lot of material that would actually point at anything from the women's liberation to birth control, the women in the workforce, so on and so forth. The examples are huge. And yes, you can debate all that. But this is what usually happens in a movement, right? All road to hell is paved with good intention. So were women being oppressed? Not at the level those feminists would claim to be. No. Were there a level of there was the lack of security for women? Yes, there was. Because imagine a woman, had her family, raised the kids and all that stuff. And then once she reached a certain age, the men could just dump her. No security, no nothing that would actually support her in her old ages. So without men, the feminism movement wouldn't actually succeed because some men probably thought that, well, I don't want my sister to be in that situation. I don't want my mother to be in that situation. I don't want my aunt to be in that situation. I don't want my daughter to be in that situation. To which, after she gave birth to however kids, and then once she gets old, then her husband just dump her with nothing. So of course, so all these things perpetuate the feminism movement, and that's why men were supporting it. And of course, as every movement, you're gonna have those, as it gets bigger, you're gonna have those who want to hide their true intention behind said movement. And how do you know they do that? Simple. When you criticize them, they hide behind the movement and say that you are criticizing the movement. To a feminist, when you criticize her action, she would claim that you are criticizing all women. To a MGTOW follower, when you're criticizing his action, his lack of morality, he would then turn around and say that you are criticizing the movement. Because everybody that doesn't have the personality, doesn't have the chance to actually develop their own individuality, would then feel like they are a spokesperson for the system which they see themselves in. And that is all a way to actually find their level of hierarchy within that group which they now belong to. Because if you never really had the chance to really take a look inside and find out and carve out your morality and carve out your principles, then all you have to go for is the principle which was already tailored to you, that made you feel good, that actually made you feel like everything that happened to you, good and bad, was somebody else's fault. Yes, all these men that was divorced, that got screwed in the court system, it's very messed up. That is true. A lot of these men as well, especially when you're looking at the Western world, do you think they felt any remorse when they were taking advantage of smaller countries? Because the same system that allowed them to thrive in the capitalistic mindset, in the capitalistic world, that system was then pillaging third world countries, second world countries. And these people had nothing but each other. So because of each other is what they had, so then they cherish each other more. Their investment is not on things, it's not on materialism. Their investment is in people. I value people. I invest in people because I grew up in a culture which materialism doesn't matter. It's something that can be taken away from you easily, but either by a government or by somebody with a gun. But in a culture which materialism is worship, materialism is everything that is required. People kill for materialism. Don't believe me? How many black men lose their lives because they accidentally step on somebody's shoes? How many people actually kill themselves because half of their money was taken away from them by a corrupt system. A system that was corrupt, but at some point benefited them. It's a culture of, as long as I'm not the one being taken advantage of, it's okay. And this is where people don't understand the true meaning of MGTOW. The walking away, men going their own way. It's not simply walking away from women. It's walking away from the mindset of materialism. It's walking away from the expectation of what is supposed to be. You're not man enough unless you're able to actually fuck the whole bunch of women. You're not man enough unless you like football. You're not man enough unless you're an alpha male. You're not man enough unless you know how to talk to women. You're not man enough unless you know how to do this, unless you know how to do that. You're not man enough unless you're a MGTOW. So see, it's the need to belong that drive people. So then therefore they never have to figure themselves out because there's already a system in place that tell them who they should be. That tell them what to do, what to say, how to you how to classify others in boxes, so then therefore you know what to do or say to this person and that person. Oh, he's a feminist. Oh, he's a simp. He's a coon. He's this, he's that. So once you're able to actually put a label on that person, because you yourself have accepted a label, you yourself see us, you value yourself based on the ideology of someone else, but without ever taking the time to understand said ideology. Are you truly walking away? Or are you simply boxing yourself into another system to which benefits you while abuse others? Feminism was not the carnage it was supposed to be when it first started. It made sense. And the funny thing is, a lot less people, a lot less women now are associating themselves with feminism because they can see the toxicity of that movement. The reason why you see MGTOW is being under attack is because the ideology is being shaped by people that has no virtue, that has no moral stand, that want to hide behind guys who are truly hurt in a divorce in order to justify their ill actions. So then when your action doesn't match what you're preaching, then you're going to be faced with opposition. So should women go back to the 50s and have that mindset to which now, hey, don't get out of line, woman. Otherwise, I'm going to divorce you and I'm going to leave you with nothing. Hey, don't question what I'm saying, woman, because otherwise, I will leave you with nothing. Hey, don't you dare raise your voice, woman, because otherwise, I will leave you with nothing. Is that the world that you guys want to see, gentlemen? Is that it? Because, see, the reason why you find men like me in opposition to guys that claim to be MGTOW, not MGTOW itself. I like MGTOW. I like what it stands for because it teaches men to see the value within themselves, to build their own moral compass, their own moral code. So then they can actually now negotiate what they want from other individual. It's not just about how to get pussy from women. It's about your ability now to negotiate things as an adult, which was why certain men were being taken advantage of. because no one taught them about female nature. No one taught them how to say no to women. No one taught them to have a certain standard, because the slut culture taught you the more women you were able to sleep with, then the more of a man you are. So then, hey, even if that pussy coming from a low hanging fruit, even if that vagina is coming from a chick that you really don't like, but as long as you're able to high five your boy afterward, instead that you see this girl right there, yeah, that hood rat, yeah, I smashed her. As long as you were able to do that, then it doesn't matter about what kind of person she was. And now, thanks to MGTOW, thanks to Red Pill, men were able to actually dig deeper and see the hidden layers of some of these females, because they had to dig deeper and see the hidden layers of themselves. They had to stop hiding. They had to stop lying to themselves. And by doing so, they were then able to pursue other hobbies. They were able to seek out other things that gave them values beside their ability to get laid. And then with that, women then started to give them respect, which is weird, right? When you're not focusing on women, women then see the value in you. Who would have thought? Well, you might say that, well, I don't care about these broads. I get laid anyway. I can go to Mexico. I can go to DR. I can go to this place and that place. So if that's the case, then why are you upset when somebody just point out that you're going overseas just to get laid? I mean, isn't that what the backlash is for the men who actually point that out? Oh no, you shaming us. Nah, we're simply pointing out the obvious, which you think that it is hidden from everybody else. That's the difference. So don't hide behind ideologies. Ideologies are a guide in order for you to actually learn more about yourself, the growth, not just materialist, not just money, not just good looks, because all these premises are still shallow. Because, yeah, I know the dating coach tells you get your money up, get your looks up, and then you'll be able to get the women. Will you still be able to get the respect? Respect. My cousin, he didn't mess around with that chick. Not because he didn't have any needs, just like any men, but he knew by messing with this hood rat, he would then disrespect himself. And in turn, that chick would feel entitled to him, to his time. Respect, self respect. That is something I had to learn. And that is something a lot of men don't know how to learn it, because they're stuck in this information vortex and don't know how to get out of it. They don't know how to get out of that anger stage. They don't know how to get respect. So then they feel like in order for them to value themselves, they have to put someone else down. Women's only good for their vaginas. That's what they say. Women's bring nothing to the table. That's what they say. Women's nothing more but a hole to pluck. That's what they say. But deep down, very deep down, that respect cannot be obtained. That dominance cannot be obtained. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating for a lot of men. Anyways, this is our Banaka. Share, like, comment, subscribe. So I've been feeling very inspired lately because I gotta say, I got this YouTuber that actually inspired me, and it gives me the opportunity to actually dissect the psychology or the psychosis of some of these men that call themselves MGTOW or Red Pill or anyone for that matter of fact who actually associate themselves with a group that see themselves as a spokesman for said group. And it gives me the chance to actually study them, see what they say, if their action matches their mannerism. And it's been pretty fun. I gotta say this, right? Um, I have to walk this balance of sometimes I just want to troll someone, or sometimes I just want to be able to speak to them and reach out to them. Because being condescending will only result to the person shutting down due to their ego being hurt, their ego being under attack. So then, therefore, what you try to say will not be heard because at that point, it's no longer about having a conversation. It's all about being right. And when someone is just trying to be right, is simply trying to be right, then they're willing to be deceitful. They're willing to actually hide behind others' suffering, willing to pull out statistics, willing to say anything in order to justify, in order to actually have a cloak to hide who they truly are from inside. So that's why I'm trying to now talk more in a sense that's, I don't want to say more polite because truth sometimes can be hurtful. The truth sometimes can be, it can bruise the ego the wrong way. So I'm trying not to be an asshole. That's what I'm saying. But anyway, this is our Banaka. You guys comment. I want to hear what you think. Oh, by the way, quick question. Isn't it kind of strange now that a lot of black men are slowly are now able to compete in the financial realm, able to compete economically with other races. And now all of a sudden, this whole MGTOW ideology is spreading harder than before. The lack of family values, the lack of family building is actually very, downplay, you know? Hmm. Something to think about. Would you be able to build generational wealth? I don't know. You tell me. Peace.